I am asking the ministry under which the coterie fell that they will pay me what is due to me so that I can continue living like a human being. I need things. I have no students, so what can I do? I'm also appealing to some of my many students who I taught, who passed through this school and know how much work I have done with them, whether they can assist me or anyone who would be willing to assist in my financial situation at this point. 1990, yes. I was transferred, I was invited to be a part of the Ministry of Culture. And as such, I became Director of Culture at the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and Women's Affairs. That was the name at the time. And the minister invited me, one of the ministers invited me to help the Steelpan men, because they were hoping that they would take fellows from the bands to go into the schools. So this other lady and I, we were the tutors at the ministry there. And then he asked me whether I would help with the coterie, because at the time she was in charge of the coterie. So I started teaching at the coterie in Barataria, teaching the elderly people to play pan and do music period. I taught music literacy and of course the elderly people were so anxious that I knew about pan, because you would be surprised to know, before doing anything I asked them what made them want to do the pan. And everyone had a story. Because we wanted to play pan, but we couldn't play pan in those days, it was only men. So they're glad for this opportunity. And I started teaching them. So every year I had been doing work, and at the end of the year we would have a big do at the church in Barataria, St. Columba's. And they would perform, playing and whatnot. And I have been teaching there when they started this in 1990. Well, I was going ahead good and everything was going well. I was being paid. 2009 is when that started. And in 2016 was the last time I got any payment. So that the ministry is owing me a lot of money now. So not having funds, and with the COVID coming in and I'm not able to teach, I am strapped for funds. I had to be using up a lot of my savings to pay bills. So you can imagine with being owed all this money, and I don't know why they would not give me what is due to me. I can show you all the bills, all the payments and everything. I'm really at a stage now where I don't know where to turn, because children are not coming for lessons, parents are not sending children out for lessons. So I cannot teach. To beg I am ashamed. Yes, it is a very trying situation I found myself in. You notice, I have no classes here, all the pans are here, all the musical instruments are here that I can't teach. For anyone born into a musical family in the British colony of Trinidad in the 1930s through 1950s, where the whole cultural concept was Eurocentric in perspective, it was taboo to become associated with our indigenous art form, the Steelpan. Because the country was socially stratified during this period, indigenous forms were either only grudgingly accepted or totally negated. My brothers Alvin and Martin and my sister Lucille and I grew up in a musical environment in Laventille. One Christmas, my parents bought a small xylophone as a gift for us, which Alvin always reminisces, helped to change our lives forever. Under the tutelage of our mother, Agatha Albino, we learned to play our first tune on this musical instrument. Alvin quoted this in December 8, 2000. This is part of my thesis that I was trying to do, women's contribution to the Steelpan movement. And funnily enough, in 2004, when I was invited to go to Medgar Evers College to give a lecture, Dawn Batson, her mother, Esther Batson and I were part of this whole program. And I didn't realize that this whole thesis that I was giving, part of my thesis, was taped. To my surprise, I saw this on When Steel Talks without my permission. And that was played by Carl Greenwich, which was just a few houses up the street from us. This is our first introduction to the Steelpan. And what is funny is that a lot of people are giving credit to other people, but I think that Carl Greenwich deserves much more than he got, because Carl taught almost everybody in Laventille, including Bertie Marshall, to play the pan. As I said before, I grew up right here in Laventille, where pan was always part of the whole environment. And my brothers would run away because there was a steel band 2 houses up the street from us. That was by not Carl Greenwich, but this boy, 13. He was reputed to have beaten 13 men. And that was Torrid Zone, was his band, 2 houses from us here. That Torrid Zone eventually became Savoy's. Well, as I said, my brothers Martin and Alwyn used to run away to go there, much to my mother's displeasure, my parents' displeasure. So you can imagine, for me to have to go into the pan yard, what was happening. But when my brothers Alwyn and Martin migrated to Montreal, so Cecil Phillip came and said, we don't have an albino, but we want an albino, so we want you to come and help us with the pan. Now, to my surprise and to my horror, I did not know anything about pan then. All I knew about was the piano. But I thought I could use what I was doing on the piano, on the pan, and rightly so. So that I would take some of the tunes that I used to play on the piano and go on a range with Chase Manhattan Savoy. And funnily enough, I arranged Beethoven's sonata in G, the second movement in C, which I did as my first tune, the bomb competition, and Savoy's came third that year. Isn't that wonderful? It had been about 28, 30 years old, yes, when I started there in the pan yard. And of course, at first it was very, very frightful, because you know the kind of things that were said about steel band men. So that, but I got the greatest respect from every one of those fellows from the band. So Chase Manhattan Savoys lives on. Martin did quite a good job. He was one of 5 finalists in the World Steel Band Festival. The 5 finalists were Pan Am North Stars, Invaders, City Syncopators, Bobby Carperez, and Chase Manhattan Savoys were the 5 finalists in that year's Steel Band Music Festival. He, actually Hazel Henry of Girl Pack. Yes, Girl Pack was an all-girl band. Sorry. And they got a lot of help from Invaders. They got a lot of help from Invaders. As a matter of fact, yes, Ellie Manet helped them a lot. Yes, Jocelyn Pear. Jocelyn Pear used to help Invaders. And there weren't too many. Gemma Noel, Gemma. Yes, Gemma played in Savoy. I can't remember her singing.
Right.
But she was a lone female in Chase Manhattan Savoy's band. Gemma Warren.